Alright guys, so if you're watching this video, you are probably interested in traveling, and you are probably interested in traveling for the first time, or maybe it's your second time internationally, and you are looking forward to the excitement that comes with it, and you need some advice, some suggestions from someone with a little bit of experience on what to do and what not to do when it comes to traveling. So that's what I'm here for. I am here to present you with a few facts and give you a few hints as to what you should do to protect yourself and to make your life a lot easier as you travel for the first time. First and foremost, please make digital copies of your passport, driver's license, and any other important paperwork. It is imperative that you do this because if you lose your passport, at least you will have a digital copy that you can pull up on your phone. I suggest emailing yourself, a very close friend, and a few family members digital copies of your passport and whatever kind of identification card you have, whether it be driver's license or whatever. Why? If you lose your passport, you will at least have some type of identification with you. If you have emailed it to yourself, stored it on Google Drive, put it in the cloud, or Dropbox, done something with it so that you have a record of it. It will allow you to go to your embassy, wherever you are, and get a passport with far less headache than if you have no identification at all. So, number one, please make digital copies of your passport and any other important documents that you feel as though you may need. Number two, this is very important. Let your bank know that you are going to be traveling, whoever you bank with. For example, I bank with Wells Fargo. Before I travel, I call Wells Fargo and say, hey, I'm going to be in Thailand from January the 1st till July the 2nd. Or whatever the travel dates are. Why do you need to tell your bank? Because if you used your ATM card, debit card, or credit cards outside of the country, they are likely to put a freeze on it until you contact them, because they're going to think that the card has been stolen. It is imperative, once again, that you contact your financial institution, whatever you use, whether it be a bank, credit bureau, whatever, and let them know that you're going to be traveling. Let them know the dates and places that you will be going. If your flight has a layover, for example, let's say you're flying to the Philippines and you have a layover in Germany, then you need to tell your bank that on this certain date you may use your debit card in Germany. Even though you are not planning on using your ATM card in Germany, let them know just in case you get stuck in Germany overnight. That way there will be no problem should you try to use your card. Very important to let your bank know that you're going to be traveling. Third, send digital copies of your itinerary to your family members. Just like you did with your passport, send itinerary copies to trusted friends, family members, etc. Why? Because if they don't hear from you, if you go missing, God forbid something happened to you, at least they will know where to start looking. Let someone know where you're going to be at all times. Let someone know that's not just with your group, not just on your flight, someone back in the States, someone back in your home country, someone that can get the ball rolling if they don't hear from you in whatever allotted time frame you've set aside to contact them. Which also brings me to a point. Make sure you set aside a time. For example, if you want to talk to your mother, say, I'll call you no later than 8 o'clock next Friday or whatever. And if you haven't heard from me by 8 o'clock next Friday, then something's wrong. Just make sure you call mom if nothing's wrong, right? Because if she hasn't heard anything from you, then she'll know where to start looking because she has a copy of your itinerary. It's a very good idea to let people know where you are going to be while you travel, particularly if you're not going somewhere to live. If you're on a holiday or vacation, or if you're just traveling, backpacking or something like that, it is very, very, very helpful to let people know where you're going to be. Always do that, please. Next, please remember to buy a voltage step down device. What is that? Well, if you're from America, we use 110 volts for just about everything outside of washing machines, heavy duty appliances, and things like that. But we charge our cell phones, we use our irons, we use most of our appliances, hair dryers, etc., that operate off of 110 volts. So you would need to buy a converter that takes a 220, 240 volt input and converts it into a 110 volt output. That way you don't fry your devices. You don't want to fry a cell phone or a blown up hair dryer or a laptop that gets fried, even though most laptops will operate between 110 and 240. Still, don't take any chances. And if you use 110 volt electrical appliances, it is always best, even if they have an adapter on them that will allow them to run off of a 220 volt outlet, such as a laptop, still try to run them off of your 110 volt, because the lower voltage tends to just have less of an impact on the electronic device. In other words, it'll last longer. That's been my experience with electronics. So please make sure you buy a step down converter, and make sure you have multiple outlets on that converter. They're fairly cheap. You can pick them up at Amazon. I'll link some in the description below for you that I personally use. They're not hard to get. Unlock your phone. Make sure that your cell phone is unlocked so that you can put a SIM card in it if you're going to be traveling without an international calling plan for any duration of time. You need to pay off your phone with your carrier before you can get the card unlocked. And basically what that means is you can go to a country, like for example I'm in Thailand, and if my phone is paid off, I can pop the SIM card out, buy a SIM card from a local carrier here, put the SIM card in, and use their minutes, their data, their towers, the whole 9 yards. And that is ultimately what you're looking to do. Now there's another option for this, and that is buy a cheaper phone that is already unlocked, that has the basic features that you need to call back and forth. And if your primary cell phone is locked, or if you just don't want to mess the settings up in it, you can use this secondary cell phone that's unlocked. Buy a card when you get off the plane at the airport, which is what I did. Here in Thailand, I bought an AIS card and a True card. I bought both SIM cards and put them in the phone. Got an unlimited data plan on one, and some calling and some text, and just a data plan on the other, just to make sure I'm covered wherever I go, because the phone has a hotspot capability, and as long as I'm using the SIM cards here, I can use the hotspot for my laptop and for my American cell phone as well. I can use the Wi-Fi connected through it, which is exactly what I've been doing, and it works out very well. Usually you can pick these SIM cards up at the airport. I don't see any reason why you would go to any country and not be able to do that, unless you were in like a really third world country. But it is important to make sure that either your cell phone is unlocked so that you can get a SIM card, you have an international calling plan and it doesn't matter, or you picked up a cheaper phone that is unlocked, has the basic features of what you need, and you can buy a SIM card to put in it at the airport. Very important. Health insurance. Health insurance is probably something that a lot of people take for granted when they travel. It is a great idea to get a small emergency policy that covers the big stuff when you travel. What do I mean? Companies like Cigna, for example. I'm not paid or sponsored by Cigna, but they have these policies that you can buy that are very cheap, that will cover only if you have like a major hospital stay, something bad happens to you. They have policies that will cover all the way down to, you know, if you have to go to a clinic and just get something for a runny nose, they'll pay for most of that prescription and most of the visit, if not all of it. So looking at health insurance plans while you travel is a fantastic idea. It is not a good idea to travel without health insurance. Most likely, unless you have one of only 2 kinds of health insurance I know of back in the States, you're not going to be covered by your health insurance plan, by your American health insurance plan. I think there are only 2 exceptions to that. So it is a great idea to check into travel health insurance and be sure you are protected, because you do not want to be somewhere like the Philippines or Thailand where they're not going to treat you on a tourist visa unless you have money first. So, if you get hurt real bad, they're not going to treat you until you can show that you have a way to pay for the treatment. And that to us sounds a little foreign, and that's because it is. Because in America, it doesn't matter. We treat you and then bill you. But here, it doesn't work that way. So always be sure to try to get some type of accidental, major coverage when you travel. Next up, be sure you insure your luggage. Why? If your luggage gets lost, typically it's going to get returned to you, but it may be, a day, 2 days, 3 days before you get it back. But if you have some type of coverage that'll reimburse you for that, there are plans out there that will allow you to go purchase things that were in your luggage, and the insurance company will foot the bill for that until you get your luggage back. Also, in the rare case that they completely lose your luggage or something gets stolen, they will replace that for you. So whatever airline you use, be sure to get the best protection for your luggage that you can, because that is one time that it is very much better to be safe than sorry. I have been very fortunate in my travels and not ran into a luggage problem yet, but I know many people who have, and it seems to be a terrible, terrible mess and aggravation. So please be sure to insure your luggage. Finally, if you are going to be flying internationally, there's a good chance that you're going to have an opportunity to sleep on the airplane. A couple weeks in advance before your flight, go see your doctor and find out what kind of sleeping aids that you can get. They may recommend something over the counter. They may give you some prescription pills. But it's a good idea to take something with you to aid in your sleep, especially if you're a nervous flyer. Sleeping while flying is not always the easiest thing to do. Just general turbulence is going to shake you from time to time. And it is important, if you want to feel any kind of rested at all when you get to where you're going, to get some sleep on the plane. I've traveled a non-stop 16-hour flight before. In total, that trip took about 31 hours with layovers. And I can tell you, had I not been able to sleep, I would have probably felt less than human when I got to my destination. I already felt bad enough. So fortunately, I was able to sleep. That brings me to jet lag. You need to make sure, no matter what you do, that you stay well hydrated on that airplane. Drink as much water or something with electrolytes in it, such as Gatorade, Powerade, something like that, as you possibly can, as much as you can. That is going to help you with the jet lag. So be prepared for that. Know that when you get back to your destination, or when you get to your destination, if in fact you are going to experience that kind of jet lag, you are not going to be fully functional for a good 18 to 24, sometimes 36 hours. So you need to plan accordingly. In other words, don't plan on having the biggest day of your trip the day after you get there. Give yourself time to adjust, because jet lag is a real thing. It really happens, and it really sucks. So be prepared for that. Keep yourself hydrated and sleep as much as you possibly can on the flight. Waiting on flights, sleep, and stay hydrated, please. That's all I got, guys. I'm going to try to do more videos like this on these little travel hacks that I can give you based on my personal experience. And I hope you guys got something out of it, and catch you on the next one.